And we are live. Welcome back to the James McGee Show, McLooney Live. I am your host. I am James McGee. And Deirdre, that's
And
your
I am
cue.
Deirdre Looney. Sorry. Why do I always do that? Um. So we have. I'm sorry. A friend with us today that is from Ashville to kind of tell her story. We have been helping this friend for. She is actually part of the Foxhole family. Let me just say that. Um, we've been helping her for about a week and a half because she's been severely affected by everything going on in Western North Carolina. And she's told us a lot about her stories there. And just we also experience, spending 2 days trying to find her a hotel. That should never have happened. So I'm going to pass it over to her. And we're
So we're
also,
so we're keeping her name unknown. So we're going to refer to her as friend. Is
yes.
what we're going to refer to her. She's our friend. We're going to refer to her that. Um, it's a scary situation. This should tell everybody how bad it is. The fact that we need to get her story out, and she's not comfortable saying her name or showing her face.
Mhm.
This is why was so important to do this today. And Dee, I'm so glad that you decided to do this. So
Yes,
I'm gonna
and
let
she
y'all
is an
take it from here.
amazing person. I talked with her for a while circling around Target yesterday, and she's been through it. And let me not get emotional, but
Yeah.
nobody should have to go through anything that she's been through. So,
Well, let's get on it. Let's tell the story.
How you doing?
I'm
hi.
doing good. Thank you for coming on.
Well, my biggest fear is I don't want them to retaliate against my son because they have had my son in their radar for quite some time. And, during Helena, he was in jail for 6 misdemeanor charges. They had him on an $18,000 bond. And I believe I was telling you about Action Community Bonds, is what it's called. I worked with them about trying to get my son out, and she said she was going to try and get a bail reduction hearing for my son because my son was going crazy. There was no phones, there was no lights. He's in jail, so I have no contact with him. And when I finally did get contact with him and I tried to explain to him how bad it really was out there, he had no clue because they had no televisions, no. And come to find out, he was being held in a jail cell that he was locked in, that the toilets were overflowing. They were given garbage bags to use the bathroom in because the toilets were overflowed with feces and urine, and then it was coming out on the floors. The place smelled. I mean, I called the newspaper to see if I could get any kind of things done because at that time, I was trying to go down and put money on his account. The ATM wasn't working, so you could get him no money, get him no phone calls, no nothing. I noticed 2 porta potties outside, and that was it. And I thought, okay, so when he got his call into me and he told me about that, that's when I called the news. And then they moved out 140 inmates because they said they had 256 men, 24 women in there during the hurricane that were all living in these deplorable conditions. They sent them out to different jails. Some of them were held on $500 bonds for trespassing. They would not let them out. They stayed in jail. And, you know, I have watched, it's just, there was no bathrooms offered to the people whatsoever on Tunnel Road. There's a lot of people, the first people that offered a restroom, because here we were excited. We thought the mall, they were bringing in FEMA trailers and they were bringing in lights and they were popping up tents. And we thought, oh God, help is here. It wasn't for us. It was for the electric. They put a barbed wire fence around it, blocked it off with semi trucks. They had showers. They had all kinds of stuff for them. Here, the people that had lived through this trauma, lost their loved ones, had nothing left, had nothing, and they still had nothing. FEMA That's a whole different story there.
FEMA was who was setting all this up, right, friend?
Yes, for the electric company
Okay.
workers.
And when you mentioned that they were shipping inmates out to other prisons or other jail cells or other jails around the area, that was ordered to obfuscate what they were doing and attention being called to it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Continue. I just wanted to bring that out for the audience.
You're absolutely right, and I sent you the links from the newspaper articles on everything I'm saying.
Yeah.
Only,
Deirdre, I have a tranche of stuff I'm going to send you as soon as possible.
you know,
Good.
one lady was pregnant during all this, locked up in there. Oh, and there was a reporter that the community bonds lady was trying to get us to all get in contact with, but of course my phone gets stolen, so I don't have her number no more. I didn't have the people's number that came out to help my son so he could thank them. I couldn't get back through because then we had no phone service. And she was also, and she is one that you might want to get in contact with too, because they were fighting for the same cause as you guys are, and that's to make Asheville a better place, and it's about the people. It's not, the police, their ideal down there is to lock you up. If you're homeless, lock them up or run them out. And, I've watched them bulldoze people's places with everything they owned in them. I mean, I'm at a loss with them.
When you say
Can you mention, because I've seen this a couple different times, and I'm really trying to understand this because I don't understand it, and I've been actually doing a lot of research, and it seems to be a big thing down there of the police officers tearing up tents, taking people's stuff.
Oh yes, I have seen them. After a disabled gentleman, we call him Gimp out on the streets. He was out there flying a sign, and I watched them put him on the hood of the car and take the money that he had just gotten from flying that sign. But they say people who actually hold up them signs are the ones that bring up the crime rate, which is very untrue whatsoever, because the people holding them signs are the ones that are out there asking for help. They're not in the store shoplifting. They're not out there robbing some lady of her purse or anything like that. They're asking for help. And last summer, they had a lawyer who actually stood up for the homeless and told them that it was against their First Amendment rights. If a church could ask for donations, why couldn't they? But I've also had one officer tell them that it's legal to do it right here, and another one come along and say, no, it's not. And then when you point out the law that they gave to you at that time, then they find another reason to hit you with charges. It's either impeding traffic. There's so many different stories by the police of what you can do and what you can't do. Do you know in the city of Asheville, it is not illegal for them to hold them signs, but it is a what do they call it? It's a city ordinance now.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, no matter what you do, they find a different way to screw you over.
I think it's suffice it to say that in a nutshell, we could basically say that the Asheville Police Department and all local governing authorities are using a lawfare scenario whereby they can just literally throw these good folks on a treadmill over and over and over again in order to make it absolutely impossible for them to ever really get anywhere.
Listen, how are they supposed to come out of jail, be turned into the streets? They can't get a job because they've got nowhere to shower. Then when they want to try to get a job and get a hotel room to try to get back on their feet, they can't do that because why? Oh, you're local. You can't rent a hotel room. There's no place for you to get a job because you can't get a shower. The only place you can get a shower is at A-Hope, which doesn't open until 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And they change their hours as they see fit because they're supposed to be open every day until 3 o'clock, except for Wednesdays at noon. But you go in there, there's somebody, it's always an excuse of why they're closed.
You see the loop, it's impossible. They can never get off that treadmill.
There's no way out for them.
Yeah.
Okay. Are these people that were they in this situation prior to the hurricane, or did the hurricane cause the situation?
Well, now some were in it before the hurricane and some after. It's just what they don't understand is everybody out there's got a story. And as I have gotten to know a lot of people out there, a lot of the stories are heartbreaking. And once they're down, there's no way for them to get back up. And then they get caught up in the legal system, and the legal system just keeps them and keeps recycling them. And just like prime example, we were sitting at Panera the other night, and my friend is the general manager there. And there was about 10 of us out there talking, and my son walked around, and we noticed 2 cop cars coming into the parking lot. Well, he kept on walking around to the backside towards what we call the manhole, and they targeted him and him only. And when they caught him, they said he was trespassing, which he has never been trespassed from that property. And the manager of that facility is going to go to court with him when this all goes to court. But out of the other 9 of us, they didn't say one word to, not one. And we were all on Panera property. So why was he the only one that was followed, arrested for trespassing and resisting, because he didn't stop for them, because he wasn't aware that he was doing anything wrong? But he was arrested and taken back to jail for trespassing. And this is after getting him out on the $18,000 bond that they held him for 6 misdemeanors, which one was a trespassing that he didn't even know he had. He has never been notified about a trespassing.
They've just got the poor kid on a treadmill, straight up.
They won't let him out. Listen, he was in jail. They released him on Tunnel Road, and 3 days later put a warrant out for his arrest for having no address and living homeless. He got out of jail on this $18,000 bond. He went to see his probation officer. You know what she told him? I'm going to lock you up. You're going to do the time. And he's only done 47 out of a 120-day sentence, which was kind of a messed up situation anyway, because a friend of his got him into that. He hadn't been standing there 2 minutes before his friend took off running, and he's standing there with a stolen bicycle. So they arrested him for receiving stolen property, and he hadn't received anything. He didn't even know what was going on.
Guy drives up on a stolen bike, sees the cops, drops it, takes off. Her son goes to jail for it. Not her son drives up on a stolen bike. Some other dude. Yeah.
He just got out of bed, walked out.
So, and what you were saying to me is basically it's a crime to be homeless in Asheville.
Oh, very much so. It is.
Now, is that, now, again, is that storm related, or is this pre-storm?
The storm is like, the storm is another reason for them to arrest them. During the storm, they kept them all in jail. Now that some of them got out after the storm, and they got to go down to see that they have nothing left. It's a vicious cycle. I mean, I watched where they said they took one lady's kids because Helena took her home, and she had no home for her kids, and they had it on the news that they took her kids.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of evidence of that too.
I mean,
okay, do you think this is because of a lack of resources? What would solve this problem?
Resources, listen, when you guys came in right after the hurricane, that was the most help Asheville has seen in forever. Okay, now they said the water was done and this, that, and the other. Everybody packed up and left. Now there's no showers, there's nothing. Okay, but Asheville said they had all these storage bins that were filled because of the outpouring of the donations. Now they had people taking these donations in. They had people to take them to these storage places, but yeah, they don't have anybody to bring them out to help the people.
Yeah, the people, the end users, the end needers are not getting the resources. Now we saw a lot of that in Beuladine, whereby the resources were coming in and they were stacking up in one location, and there was just no way to really get it out to the people. They had to kind of come and get it. So I understand that, but
this is something different though, because where are they going? Where
are they? Right.
Exactly.
They've been confiscated. Yeah. I know that happened. FEMA was confiscating.
FEMA took 5 days off for Thanksgiving. Do you know I did my FEMA application and I have not received the $750? I have not received the hotel voucher. They denied me. I had to appeal it, which takes 90 days. Thanksgiving comes, I'm in the streets. But yeah, they took 5 days. They closed down FEMA and they went home or wherever they went, but they took 5 days off.
Yeah. Let me ask you this.
They're in the streets with nothing.
Was there any effort to evacuate the homeless population pre-storm?
I'm sorry?
Was there any efforts to evacuate the homeless population pre-storm?
No.
I've heard that.
They evacuated themselves. The guy Gimp that I was just talking about, he helped another couple that were down there right there at South Tunnel and Swananoa River Road get out because the water was raising so fast. There was snakes, there was spiders, there was nothing. No help for them at all. And you know where they got to go? They got to go up that hill and sit in the lawn with no place to go. And there was no restrooms. There was nothing offered to us. Like I said, Whole Foods was the first one to bring in a restroom. Outside, you had to walk downtown to even get a meal because there was nobody in our area, that area, that was helping anybody. You had to walk to the downtown because the buses quit running. You had to walk to Harris Teeter, which was the first store to even open after this. And Harris Teeter was giving out free ice. They were giving out, a landscaping company was giving people cases of water. You know, them people were the ones that were trying to help. We have gotten no help at all since then. You know, when they reported people staying in tents in this cold weather, they are staying in tents. They tried to say that there was not people out there. They did a walkthrough. No, you didn't. Donald Trump said it right. They really dropped the ball in North Carolina.
I think that's
there's
pretty
a lot
accurate.
of people still out in the street with nothing.
So, I don't know.
They didn't prepare for this storm, and they didn't help this storm.
So that's my point. So I don't know how much Dee has told you about me, but I'm a retired commander with the sheriff's office here in Southwest Louisiana. We have had numerous hurricanes. I was an incident commander during hurricanes, so I understand.
Oh, I remember you guys had Katrina, didn't you?
We had Rita, New Orleans on the other side, but we had Rita, which was 3 weeks after Katrina, which was actually worse. In 2020, we had Hurricane Laura, which completely destroyed my town. So I can tell you just my opinion of what you're describing to me is, you know, after the storm, there is and Katrina is probably the most notable on this. Looting is a huge issue. So what it sounds like to me, the police has been given the mission. Yeah, but it sounds like to me the police have been given the mission to go and get people off the street to prevent looting. But these people wouldn't. It also sounds like to me they wouldn't be looting if they were given the resources, or they're probably not looting. But that's to me what the mission is. But you have people on the streets that wouldn't be on the streets if they had resources that should be. I'm going to tell you right now, the stuff that Dee has told me, and I've been through numerous hurricanes. I've never seen anything like this or heard anything like this in my life. It's a FEMA issue, but I'm gonna be honest with you on my opinion of FEMA, they're a resource, they're a checkbook. This is the local and state government is completely failing y'all, in my opinion. I'm not a FEMA fan, and I'm not a Biden and Harris fan at all. So I think they have failed. But the local government, I'm astounded. Because I know how our local government, our local leadership, how we respond, and it's just atrocious. And I am very hate that y'all are going through this. And now also what has thrown some kinks in it is y'all are not, unfortunately, hurricane is second nature to us. That's not have you ever before this, your area, I don't know how long you've lived there, have you ever experienced a hurricane?
The only time I experienced two, because I lived in Florida for a little while, and that was years ago, but in 2017, I left Florida after a hurricane had just hit. And let me tell you, in Florida, I saw them putting out, sandbags and this and that, trying for preventage of, things getting damaged or people getting hurt, where I didn't see none of that in North Carolina, okay? The water was as high as the freeways here. I mean, 29, 30 feet deep. Houses and buildings were just gone. They were there and then they were gone. I have never, and then the governor, he goes and pulls the funding that they had set up for down here because he didn't win the election. sad because the people are paying the price for this. Nobody else.
And I despise Cooper. I despise this man. So,
And it was just as horrible during the pandemic.
yeah. I have spent countless hours in front of that governor's mansion protesting. Now, I have heard numerous times that the homeless population is a lot lower than it was, and
Well, you know why?
because they did not get the people in shelter, and a lot of those people unfortunately died. Is that
They're
true?
dead or in jail. That's the answer for them.
Yeah. And there's not any looting per se that I see, but
The homeless people were the ones that were telling people about looting. They weren't doing it. I have been following the homeless community out in Ashville.
yeah.
And it's not. They are some good people out there.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's that situation. My friend was telling me here that there's a lot of folks stealing from each other because the situation is desperate. There's a lot of folks stealing from each other.
There's no
so it's
help.
not really looting. It's just a different form, right?
Well, that and I'm gonna tell you, I'm very involved in our homeless ministry here and where I'm from, and that's not storm related. They tend to steal from each other. That's something that happens. So, so tell me, my friend, what's the solution? What do people need? What's the solution? If anybody from the government, anybody in any kind of power position or any other type of foundations, what would solve the problems in this area?
I don't think they're looking to solve the problems. It's all about.
But what would? If somebody's listening that wants to solve the problem.
Going to where it's supposed to go. What do
Okay,
I
so
solve the problem?
Yes, what would solve the problem? If somebody's listening and wants to solve the problem, what would solve the problem?
I think getting them into places and rehabilitation. I mean, but right now the rehab, that's a whole nother story too out there in Black Mountain. You've got them sending them to out there. They got to work 70 hours a week. They get no money from the jobs that they work because it pays for their rehab. They collect food stamps on them, and then come to find out, they take them to all these pantries to get food from the pantries. But yet his wife owns a catering company.
Now, who is this, and who are we talking about? Is this a halfway house or something?
No, this is a rehabilitation center that the court sends you to.
So I think what I hear you saying, friend, is that these people need actual help. They don't need lip service. They don't need a bunch of BS. They don't need FEMA up their ass. They just need help.
And jail is not the cure.
Jail's not the answer. They need help.
What she's saying is this is a previous problem, and this is also becoming a bigger problem because now people are homeless that were not homeless before, and it's just going to be a revolving door for them.
Yes.
So now they're stuck in the homeless cycle.
And the people that are homeless now, due to the storm mixing with the people that are, now they're starting to find out what it's like to be homeless out there because you're treated on a different level completely. Okay? The restaurants profile you, the stores profile you when you're homeless. It's a sick, vicious cycle.
Automatically, you're stigmatized. Is that what I'm also hearing you say, friend?
Yes.
Like you have a stigma above you where you can just walk into, let's say, a Dollar Gen or whatever, doing your thing, and all of a sudden you're being profiled and looked at and approached because they feel because you're homeless and they know you're homeless, they've seen you around, that you're going to steal something.
Yeah. Oh, they'll start with you as soon as you walk in the door if they know you got a backpack on or think you're homeless, okay? They start with you as soon as you hit the door. I watched McDonald's fire their managers and send them elsewhere because they thought they were getting too close to the homeless.
And also, since we did our last podcast about the hotels in Asheville, I let Lisa know that It actually had nothing to do with her son's ID not being there. Because again, when you lose everything, you lose all your documents too. And I've never heard of a hotel needing someone else's ID. It was actually tons of people called this hotel after and found out that they actually just don't book to locals. They don't. It had nothing to do with her son's ID. It had everything to do with her ID.
You're still on the fastest route. Yeah, that's a big
Okay,
problem
so-
there. They don't rent to locals.
Can somebody tell us why? Is there
I
a
have never
solid
heard of a
reason why?
And if you're lucky enough to find one, like Best Western down there, they used to rent to locals, but you know what? They charged them a $200 deposit. And one night when I stayed there and I complained about my room because I was right there at the entrance and all that traffic, everything, door slamming all night long, headlights in the room. I went into the office the next morning. There was 7 people in that office raising Cain because they had kept their deposits for one reason or another, because they had company at their door. Or why do people go out of town? They go to see family, friends. You know, I mean, I don't know how many times when my kids were younger, we'd go to the hotel, rent a pool. You know, my friend would come with her kids. You know, and that's what we did, and it was safe fun for the kids. You can't do that in Asheville. You can't even have a national ID to rent a room.
Well, Looney, you got one heck of a file cabinet full of answers. Now, none of them seemed adequate in my regards, but can you share with us a couple of those reasons that they gave us?
Oh, they just said they don't book to locals within 75 miles. They've changed their story a couple times now with people calling there. I mean, there's hundreds of people calling. And
But are these hotels full? Are they who's staying there?
Great question. I know the Red Roof Inn is full because the lady told me that they are jam-packed, which they deserve to be, because the managers at Red Roof Inn are absolutely amazing. They worked with us, and the one yesterday that I talked to, so sweet. They will allow anybody to stay there.
Yes, and Deirdre, while we're on the subject and I'm thinking about it, that particular manager wanted me to deliver the message to you that if there's anybody else that's affected by this storm that needs help, they will be glad to help us in any regards, in any respect.
They are awesome.
I love that.
Right.
She was so sweet.
So
I said, I'm just calling to make sure she's okay.
Okay, so let's talk about this. You know, it's established that the state, local, and federal government has failed, and they're not going to get any better. So what we need now is people like y'all, foundations like Foxhole. So why don't we talk a little bit about more, like we did the other night, Dee? Let's talk a little more about what Foxhole's doing, what are y'all doing, and what are y'all's needs, and how people can give to y'all to help people like our friend tonight.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, if it's all right, I'll chime in.
So
yeah, please, I want you to chime in too.
Go ahead.
Evan, you start.
Yeah, Evan, why don't you tell us?
Yeah, awesome. So, you know, what we're doing, what Foxhole Foundation's doing right now. The last time that we got, some good airtime, I believe Mama Nadine was on up front in the prophetic, and she did a great job of letting everybody know that the largest need right now in Western Carolina is going to be shelter. It's cold as hell. It is absolutely freaking freezing outside. Our friend here, 72 hours ago, about a week ago.
I was gonna say,
yeah, I'm sorry. It's been kind of a rodeo, but anyway, about a week ago, our friend here actually, when we could not get her into a hotel room, she slept in an abandoned vehicle, along with her son and their dog, and it's so shelter is key. People out here are very, very, very afraid of freezing to death. So what we're doing right now, we've been basically on a massive move for campers. Donations have been coming in right and left. A gentleman named Dobbs has just been beating the streets, producing camper. And we've been going back and forth. A friend down in South Georgia has got a camper for us. I'm taking our friend right now down to South Georgia, where a family down here in Moultrie wants to present her family with a brand new home. It's a big old freaking camper that can hold about 8 people and a dog. So we're trying to get people.
That's amazing.
We're trying to get people off the ground in shelters. The biggest need is that right now. I think that Deirdre is probably going to start working on some things, and we're going to try to work on some things in terms of targeted donations, listing folks with a list of specific needs, and hopefully donors can come forward and go, yeah, hey, I can get that one and move forward. That's kind of what we've got on the radar. We're doing a lot of work with trucks for troops. The 2 gentlemen that have got that foundation under their wing, they're going to team up with Foxhole Foundation. We're going to do some really, really big things in the future. So everybody just keep keep Foxhole Foundation and all the first responders and the people who are trying to help the victims of McLooney in your prayers and in your thoughts. We sure do need it.
Well, y'all are doing some amazing work, Evan, and that really is. Now, I put in the description. I put the website of Foxhole Foundation. Tell us a little bit, Deirdre, about if they want to earmark for a certain cause, a certain project, a certain person. Can they do that?
Yes. So what we're working on right now is getting our friend. We would like to get her.
Okay, so Jeff's I'm about to let Jeff in.
Oh yeah. Okay, perfect.
Okay. Hey, welcome, my friend.
Hey, how are you? How's it going, James?
I'm right there.
Doing well, man. Thank you for coming. Dee, why don't you introduce Jeff, and then I'll turn it over to him and let him talk about it. Tell him where we're. This is perfect timing, Jeff, because we just started talking about our friend told us her story, but we just started talking about y'all and what people can do to help y'all help people. So why don't you take it, Dee?
So this is Master Sergeant Jeffrey Stagg. He is the founder of Foxhole Foundation, and let me just tell you, this is amazing. Really, one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. You already know how I feel about that. And he has some big things that I would love for him to tell on here about what Foxhole Foundation is doing. And one of the things that he just did, which I will be making a video on, I'm just trying to find the best way to collaborate this video in a way that will actually tell how amazing this story actually is.
Yeah, well, it's not all about me, guys. You guys are the warriors. I'm just putting a team together. I'm just following a path that was laid out in front of me.
We're naval-end.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At the Fox, I just believe with the Foxhole Foundation, what we're doing is, I just think that we all need to set an example. We need to set the example of what everybody should be doing, for humanity to help humanity. I tell you, the video that you're talking about, Deirdre, is that the one? Is that about the Wyoming camper? Wasn't sure what you were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, tell it, Jeff. That's an amazing story, man.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah. My goodness. Oh boy, where do we start? Start with Dobbs. There's a fella, Dobbs Presley. Yep. Dobbs Presley in Wyoming had seen us on another podcast, saw our mission, saw how we were actually, we've been finding people that know the people. our Foxhole Foundation, our core group, nobody's from Western North Carolina. I mean, we're from, you know, Georgia and Alabama and New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, but we've well, I'll back up real quick. Tell you a little bit about myself. I just live on a fixed income with my VA compensation pension from the military. I did 21 years in the Air Force. My wife and I and our dogs, we live on 40 acres up in Duffield, Virginia, the very farthest western county of Virginia. And when the storm hit, it hit us. It hit our property pretty bad, but we saw how bad North Carolina was. So I just found an area that needed help based on a YouTube video I had seen. We went down the first week of October, plugged ourselves in. I brought my camper down, asked and Bulladine Community Center, where can we come in and be most effective? Where can we help? And so we've spent 7 weeks there. And in that time, we learned who a lot of people were that were affected by the storm. We met pastors, we've met fire chiefs. So we've learned about who needs things and what's needed just by inserting ourselves. And so we told our story on a podcast, and Dobbs Presley from Wyoming reached out and had a camper he wanted to donate. And so we kind of developed a man, I'm really trying to talk over some static. I don't know if you can hear it.
No, you're fine. I mean, you were breaking up a minute ago, but you're fine now.
Okay, good. All right, good. And so we developed a little crowdsourcing process of Dobbs had this camper ready to go. We reached out to a lot of people that have been following us and found out that there was somebody in Ohio that has been following the Foxhole Foundation and donated a camper a month ago to the Shepherd family in the Burnsville area. And so Ken Alley reached out and said, hey, I think I could probably help deliver your camper from Wyoming for part of the trip. My son-in-law could help out, Tim Helton. He may be available for some of the trip. And Dobbs, who's donating the camper, decided, he could make some of the trip, but he can't make the whole trip. So we broke it up into 4 different legs. And long story short, the camper ended up in Ohio night before last. Ken Alley drove it down into North Carolina. I came down from Virginia, picked it up, and brought it to an area called the Good Loop Project on Good Loop Road in Swannanoa, North Carolina. And this group of guys down there, I tell you, there's about, I'm going to guess there's maybe 20 or so, 24 people that live there. It's abandoned homes. Campers are kind of strewn around the place. It's there's some few tents and some abandoned, homes that people can't really, move into. They've been condemned. So they have a friend, a guy they know. His name is Ray. They call him Ray of Sunshine. And Ray is in a shelter right now, and the shelter's getting ready to close. And these guys told me about him and that they don't know where he's going to go. And this camper has really filled a void. There was really a need to put Ray in this place. He's handicapped in a wheelchair. And so I got there today with the camper. I did a little video about, where we put the camper, about the camp itself and who the people were. So it was just really nice to know that a lot of people could volunteer their time, their gas, their money, and efforts to make something like this happen. It's crowdsourcing, and it's just an example. This story is just an example of people helping people. We know that there's a need, and we all joined forces joyfully, happily, and we made it happen.
So cool.
Yeah.
So, people from all over, that is just amazing to me.
So Jeff, we had Nadine on the other night. It was a great show. She was a really big help for us to understand, what y'all are doing. But I'd like for you to tell us too, what are y'all's needs, or is it y'all need money, y'all need physical labor? If somebody's, because look, people, no matter what your situation is, you can do something, whether it's
Right.
help promote, share this podcast, share your information, like your page. You can do something to help, no matter what your situation is. But ideally, what are y'all's biggest needs? Is it money? Is it equipment? Is it physical labor? What do y'all need?
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you, James. The biggest impact, and your listeners might not be able to help directly with this. I'd say two things. But the biggest impact we could have right now is if we had a piece of real estate. If we had a place that, like I mentioned, we're all coming from all these other states. I'm about a 2.5 hour drive. I was a combat engineer in the military. I had the ability to build bases, did horizontal construction, humanitarian construction, vertical construction. I can do all utilities and heavy equipment work and everything needed to build a base. There are a lot of scattered distribution centers and small little bases, if you will, around here. But if our foundation we have access to a network of many other foundations that have shipments ready to come into the area, but the logistics of getting shipments of materials and supplies here with people at the other end to receive them is difficult, because you don't know which one has filled up and can't take anymore and which one hasn't until you call and try to coordinate things. So we have a vision. We have a vision of building a volunteer base camp for volunteers to come in, a place to store materials, a place to store, generators and construction materials. We have the ability to even repair generators and chainsaws and that kind of thing. We have, I can reach out to people that have the ability to install culverts. I mean, there's driveway culverts. People still can't access their homes in a lot of areas. We can do. So if we had a place where we could launch from locally, for us specifically, I'm speaking about the Foxhole Foundation, we could do a lot more if we had, 3, 5, 10
Ideally, what
acres or
town?
more
What
flat
town is
land.
this? Ideally, what town would this be?
Well, I tell you, the area centrally located in the Western Carolina mountains in, let's say, like the Marion area, Black Mountain,
Union
and up in the
City,
Yancey County. Yeah, yeah.
Be like the
Those
Pentagon
areas
National
get you
Forest
kind of
area.
centrally located where you can reach other areas, rather quickly. But honestly, if it was like a major laydown yard area, we could hit almost any Western Carolina spot. If we could just tell all these trucking companies and all these networking people that we have that send everything to one place, and we can spoke it out from there, that is one thing we could do, and build ourselves our command and control center and a camp. That'd be great. Funding is the second thing. With the money, I'll let Deirdre and Revan tell you the stories of what we've done with funding. There's people I've been talking with all across the country that donate to the Foxhole Foundation. A lot of times that money, obviously most people want to go and have that land somewhere where it's really going to affect a family that's in need. And we have lists and lists of these families, and we have gone out in the past and we have handed $800 stacks of cash to families that have, no job, cancer diagnosis, they've lost family, they're living in a family member's bedroom, and lots of situations like that. And there's no application fee when the good people of this country send money to our foundation, and we can hand money to the people that really need it, especially this time of the year. There's no application fee. there's nobody you don't have to put your deed on the table. There's no restrictions, there's no red tape, there's no paying it back. And so that's
And you have
been
no
something we've been
bureaucracy.
proud of.
Yeah, your
We've been
foundation,
proud
and
to do that.
we established this when Nadine was here the other day. Y'all, what I like about y'all is what I hate is bureaucracy. And
Right.
if I give you $500, that's going to directly to somebody. It's not passing through a bunch of hands. You don't have your foundation does not have a couple $100,000 a year payroll. You're paying people. You don't
Nope.
have that.
Nope.
That's what
Nope.
I want people that are listening to know. When you give the foxhole, you're not giving to them. You're giving to people
That's
directly to
right. We're
people.
traveling on our dime. We're traveling on our dime, and we're staying here on our dime. And then when the money comes in, every bit of it so far has all gone to giving. It's all gone right into the hands of people that are displaced, that are without.
That is
And
amazing. And I don't think people would have a problem if there were some expenses they were paying. It's when you're given to some of these bigger organizations and they've got $500,000 a year payroll.
right,
That's
Brother,
what people.
all of
Know
us
what I'm
have the
saying?
heart.
That's what I
Yeah.
like about you.
All of
Right,
us have
right.
the heart where we're like, nah, we want everything that's being given to go directly to the people's hands of Western Carolina. We're not taking any of the money. We don't want it at all. All of our hearts are in the same spot, and I can attest to what Jeff's saying in a big kind of way. Right after Thanksgiving, in and around the Burnsville area and way wider out than that, we were able to give away bundles of $800 to 17 families in that area. Funny, it just kind of worked out to 17, huh?
It's really crazy.
And
Yeah.
another thing that's really cool too, guys, is that Jeff and I, Master Star and I have been talking all the last couple of days. I think probably Christmas Eve, or at least the Eve, maybe the day before Christmas Eve, he and I are going to go and start dropping as much cash as we possibly can to get as much money into the people's hands of Western Carolina that we can, so that they have time to go buy their kids Christmas gifts for Christmas. That's what we're fixing to do.
Yeah, and that last project was so successful. We were able to get the word out, and the funding that we've received through donations from all the good people around the country is going to be more this time around of what Evan's talking about. So we're getting ready to hammer goodness and spread love as much as we can, more so than that project that we just did last week.
Yeah, God wasn't satisfied. He's got to show off some more.
No, God's been showing off like you guys would not believe. And I tell you, I really recommend everybody, if you're not giving of yourself, you are missing out, because God has been raining on me. I can attest to that, all because I've been going outwards, not inwards with myself.
Yeah, and I want to say that, I don't know if I can use her name, so I'll just say the woman who is donating the camper right now in Georgia, she is 70 years old, okay? Her sister is 65. They are going on, I forget if she said tomorrow or Monday. This lady had me in a pool of tears this morning while I'm trying to get ready. I had to redo my whole makeup because when I tell you that angels walk among us, that she is a prime example. She is the most amazing person ever, and she is actually going to Western North Carolina. I think she said Monday. At 70 years old, to go help hands-on.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Wow.
70 years old. We better step up our game.
Yeah.
Listen, my 16-month-old baby, she was out there putting things in bins. I don't want to hear excuses from anybody.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Word's been getting out that we are, helping people in this manner, and we are now collaborating with a group called, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of Trucking for Troops. Banners for Freedom. We are all collaborating. They are down here in Warren with PPN, the Patriot Party News Network. He and I sat and talked last night about quite a few things. We are all growing, and I really don't think anything can stop what is coming. Goodness is on its way. We've just got to get through this, and we've just got to continue to help people so that our futures, get brighter. But these collaborations are growing, and I see hope. As I help people, I'm seeing more hope.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing I want to say is a lot of people are like, oh, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you. But we literally can't do it without everybody. We wouldn't be able to do this without people helping us.
I second
So,
that. If we
that
all
is
get
a
together-
big thing that I don't think people even realize. I'm like, well, why are you thinking us? We can't do it without you. You're the one that is making any of this possible.
Yeah.
So we can't help all the people in Western North Carolina. God's just using us. Like, we're just the bodies.
We're just the vehicle, but you're right. We've got to stick together, or we're never going to survive, Deirdre. Never.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Somebody's got to get the stuff
So
here. to
Jeff,
these
I have
people.
So I have an idea. We'll talk when we go off camera in a minute. We'll talk. I got an idea of somebody in Marion. Maybe you could contact them. Might be able to help you. So
I appreciate that. Thank you very
anything
much.
y'all would like to say in closing?
I wanted to ask Lisa one more thing. Lisa, how many homeless people would you say may have died in this flood?
I can't even tell you because there's a lot still unaccounted for.
Okay.
And even though I've been asking, I haven't seen them. And personally, I mean, the ones that I have seen, 2 out of about 100 that I know that are, not here.
Okay.
How many?
They haven't let us know anything because we're usually not next to kin. But there's a lot are missing right now.
And would you say that the death toll is a hell of a lot higher than what they're saying?
Oh, I believe so. Yes.
Did you see anything?
Because they were talking about people that were floating down at Swananoa River Road and Tunnel, and there was a lot of people camping down there in that bamboo forest, and yeah, it got pretty bad because it was there where the Walmart is.
Speed check reported ahead on.
And I know parts got to be about 29 feet deep of water down there.
Is that with the bamboo forest? Was that a homeless camp kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
And the one guy, he got the one couple out that were right under the bridge, and he said the snakes and the spiders crawling all over them was horrible. So there's a lot missing that ain't been accounted for.
That's what I've heard. A lot.
Jeff, anything you'd like to close us out with?
Well, I appreciate the team that's recently been built. I just want to thank Deirdre and Evan for everything that they're doing. We don't pay salaries what we're doing. I would sure love to, though. I would love for them just to leave their jobs and come to me and work full time. That's what I want. That's what I would love to close with. But obviously, reality is what it is. But I just want to say that, everybody understand that government's not the answer, and people helping people is the answer. Just stay true to your faith.
You're right. We say this a lot on this show. Nobody's coming to save you, and I think that I've learned that from experience, and I think that people in North Carolina have learned that from this experience, and that's what we have to do. We have to be there for each other, help each other, because the government's not coming to save you. They're not coming.
No.
Get that out of your head. Nobody is, but you know what? Each other,
Right.
we can. So I appreciate both of you coming on. I appreciate. Our friend, I appreciate you telling our story.
One quick thing with the government I would like to say is that, how about you guys just give us a refund? You give us our assets back, give us all of our assets, give us all of our money back, because that's all we really need.
Get 'em,
We don't
Jeff.
need
Yeah, we can
anything
make
else
it
from
happen.
you other than that.
Can you imagine? And we could go down. We could start another show talking about this, Jeff. Can you imagine they haven't done a damn thing, but they have spent billions. What the hell could y'all have done with the money they have wasted if they'd have just gave you 1% of what they are spending on this form for nothing?
Exactly.
What could people
Right.
like you do?
We could
That's
Give
we
us
got
a
to get them out
refund.
of it. Yeah, and start giving
Yep.
out grants
All we
to.
need.
Yeah.
Yep. All
That's
we
what
need
they.
from them.
Yep.
All we need from them is to give us our stuff back. Give us our stuff back so we can go on living our lives like we're supposed to be and God intended. Give us the stuff you stole, and let us handle the rest. And you guys hit the pavement, Jack.
Well, we'll do another show whenever you're ready. We'll do another show and talk about that because me and you could tee off on that pretty good. So I
All right.
appreciate all of you coming on, and we'll talk in a second off camera. I'll tell you what my thoughts are. But
Sure.
I appreciate all you coming on. I appreciate all our listeners. It's the website, the Foxhole Foundation, is in the details. Please consider giving. Until and look, we are going to stay on top. We're not going. I'm not going away. I'm stuck on this. We're going to stay on this, and I'm going to do the little bit I can to help. Until then,
Wait,
McGee,
hold on.
go ahead, D.
So, just before we go, what we are currently working on right now is we are trying to find our friend a car. So we're trying to raise money to do so because we would love to get her away from the corruption in Ashville. Let's just call it what it is, Ashville. I would love to get her away from there, and she had the means of transportation, and we found her a great job and really changed her life. We would be able to do that and help her in that way, and I think that would really change her life.
And they can earmark, Jeff, that if somebody wants to give specific to that cause, they can earmark their donation.
Actually, yeah, if they go to our site and click donate, everyone has to put in there where they're from, a vague area where you're from, and how they heard about us. And they will then be putting in James McAfee Show in the donation, and that will help us to understand that those donations went to that subject matter from that show.
Perfect.
And James and Looney, thank you so much for the platform. I really appreciate you allowing us to get our friend's message out.
Well, y'all are welcome back anytime. We'd love to have y'all. Keep us updated.
Thank you so much, man.
Right on.
Safe
right on,
travel.
brother. Appreciate it.
All right, until
Thanks for
then,
living, James.
McGee and Looney are out.
Out.